The first page of the diary had only a few words in a small but elegant hand. I recognized the slightly tilted lettering as copperplate, a style of handwriting popular in the 19th century. The words proclaimed this as the diary of Rachel Adeline Afton, aged 16, with the date July 4th, 1854. The paper was yellowed but still in good condition. I suspected that it was the more expensive rag paper rather than the cheaper wood pulp. The latter would have turned brown and brittle years ago and begun to disintegrate. I turned pages carefully and skimmed the contents as I went. There were no blemishes I could see, no water stains, mold, or mildew. Overall, the diary appeared to be in remarkably good condition, other than the state of the binding and the worn cover. "If the other volumes are in similar condition," I said, "then everything should be fine. Conservation work will be minimal, though we will store them in archival folders. The paper is acid-free and won't affect the contents." "That sounds fine." Mrs. Long smiled briefly. "We are placing no restrictions on these diaries, Mr. Harris. We want scholars to be able to use the contents for their work." She stood and passed the tote with the other volumes to me. I took the bag and pulled out the 3 remaining manila envelopes, each with a diary inside. That's excellent news. As soon as I've had the time to check each one more thoroughly, I'll let the history department know about them. "They are already aware of the gift," Mrs. Long said. "One of my husband's good friends, and mine as well, is Professor Howell Newkirk. He was dining with us last night, and I happened to mention it to him." "I see." That was unexpected news. I was acquainted with Dr. Newkirk. He was elderly, irascible, and pushy. He was also the most eminent historian on the Athena faculty, and he knew it. He demanded, and was usually given, what he wanted. I was surprised he wasn't already in my office asking to see the diaries. Mrs. Long smiled. "I know Howell can be, well, rather insistent on things, but I suggested that he give you a few days with the diaries before he even thought about assigning a student to work on them. There might be others interested in them as well." "Thank you," I said. "Then I will make sure they are ready sooner rather than later. I will add these to the list attached to your original deed of gift for the rest of the collection, if that's okay with you." "Yes, that's fine," Mrs. Long said. She hesitated a moment before she continued. Her eyes focused like lasers on me. "You might be aware that my son, Beck, plans to run for office in the near future, and that he is facing a challenge. Rachel Afton Long was an extraordinary woman, and the more the voters know about the history of the Long family and its achievements and triumphs, the more they will want to see a member of the family in office." With that, she nodded, gathered up her purse, and departed. I stared at the pile of diaries on my desk. Why would the mayor think that Rachel Long's writings could affect the outcome of a 21st century political race?